One of the biggest things that's changed the way I think about nutrition is realizing just how much our bodies are doing for us every single day. Our body is rebuilding tissue and producing hormones. It's making new blood cells. Our immune system is constantly working. Our brain needs energy, and even our bones are constantly remodeling themselves. And all of those processes require raw materials. Raw materials like protein, carbohydrates, fats, vitamins, minerals, and water. For the last 2 years, I experimented on myself. I tracked my nutrition, I changed how much protein I eat, I've eaten more carbohydrates, I've eaten less carbohydrates, I've changed the way that I train, I've had blood work done, and I've paid attention what actually happened to my body. Noticing things like my energy and my recovery and my digestion and how strong I feel or how hungry I am. And the more that I've learned, the more that I've realized when you consistently give your body what it needs, your body is remarkably good at taking care of you. Here are the 6 things I've learned about nutrition that I think every woman should know. Have you ever been trying to be super healthy, so you order the lowest calorie thing on the menu? Maybe a tiny salad with some vegetables and barely anything else, only to be absolutely starving a few hours later and suddenly reaching for anything that you can find. I've definitely done this, and the one reason this can happen is really simple. Your body may not have received enough energy or enough of the nutrients that contribute to satiety from that meal. Calories have become this thing that we're taught to fear, but a calorie is simply a unit used to measure energy. And our bodies need energy. They need energy to keep our heart beating and power our brain and maintain our body temperature, to digest food and to move our body, to repair our tissue, and even to train. The goal should never be to automatically find the meal with the fewest calories. Let's use a plain salad as an example and say it's 250 calories. Technically, this is a low-calorie option, but it has very little protein, it doesn't have very much fiber, almost no healthy fats, and simply isn't enough food for me. But now, if we compare this to a bowl with lentils, Parmesan cheese, hard-boiled eggs, spinach, tomatoes, bell pepper, dates, and even a little olive oil, of course it's going to contain more calories. But look at what else this meal is providing. It's giving protein from the lentils and the eggs and the Parmesan cheese. And protein provides amino acids that our bodies use to build and repair tissue. And it's also highly satiating. It has carbohydrates, which provides energy and helps to replenish glycogen. This meal has healthy fats, and it has fiber from the vegetables, which supports our digestive health. And so yes, 100% I ate more calories, but I also gave my body a complete meal. And obviously I'm not saying that calories don't matter and to go and eat 10,000 calories of cookies and chips and ice cream. Calories still matter, particularly if you have a specific body composition goal. But I think only looking at calories gives you a very incomplete picture. Because I'm someone who is primarily eating whole and minimally processed foods, I'm personally much more interested in the bigger picture. Something else that's interesting is not all calories have the same effect on satiety. Protein, for example, tends to be one of the most satiating macronutrients, which means 2 meals containing the exact same number of calories can leave you feeling completely different afterwards. And that's why I've stopped thinking of calorie as a measurement of how good or how bad a food is. A calorie simply tells me how much energy is in there. It doesn't tell me the entire nutritional value of the food providing that energy. And so for me, the question has become, what can I put on this plate that's going to give my body the energy and nutrients that it needs and actually leave me feeling nourished and satisfied? So if calories are only one piece of the picture, the next question becomes, how do you actually know what you're giving your body? And this is why I love using MyFitnessPal, the sponsor of today's video. It goes far beyond just tracking calories. I can log what I'm eating and actually see my protein, carbs, fats, fiber, and other nutrients throughout the day, which has taught me so much about how I personally feel when I eat different amounts of each of these. I also love that I can track my movement and my fitness in the same place, and I can log workouts, track my steps, track my water, and connect MyFitnessPal with other fitness apps and devices that I already use. And so instead of looking at nutrition as this little isolated bubble, I can start looking at the bigger picture of how I'm taking care of my body. MyFitnessPal makes the nutrition side incredibly easy. You can search their huge food database, scan barcodes, or even use MealScan to help log your food with your camera. For me, the goal isn't to hit a perfect number every single day. The goal is to understand the patterns. Because once you know what you're actually eating, you can make much more intentional decisions about what your body might need more or less of. If you're interested in trying MyFitnessPal, I'll leave the link in the description to get 7 days free. For years, we've been taught that if you want to lose body fat, you need to do more cardio. And of course, there is some truth to this. Cardio requires energy, and increasing your activity can increase your total energy burn, and that can absolutely help to create that energy deficit required to burn fat. But I think a lot of women get stuck thinking, if some cardio is good, then more cardio must be better. So you add another run, or you stay on the Stairmaster longer, or you just try to do any form of cardio to burn another 300 calories. And eventually you're putting in a ton of effort simply trying to burn more calories. When there is another piece of body composition that matters: muscle. If your goal is to become leaner and stronger, a more complete approach is combining cardiovascular training with progressive strength training. And the progressive is the important word here. Progressive overload means gradually increasing the challenge you're giving your muscles over time. That can mean increasing the weight, increasing the reps, the range of motion, but something that is giving your muscles a reason to adapt and become stronger. When you're trying to lose body fat, resistance training becomes especially valuable because it can help you preserve your lean muscle mass while losing weight. Cardio is also still really important, and I like to think about my training as a combination of strength and resistance training and cardiovascular training. And so rather than endlessly adding in more cardio because you're trying to burn more calories, you're training multiple systems. You're building your cardiovascular fitness, and you're challenging and preserving muscle, and you're getting stronger. And then nutrition gives your body the energy and the protein and the carbs and the micronutrients it actually needs to respond and adapt to all of that training. And so I don't think that training is so black and white. And cardio can absolutely help with fat loss, but more isn't automatically better. And so if your goal is body composition, think about a combination of cardio and progressive strength training, rather than just another hour on the treadmill. Carbs are probably the best example of something I spent years getting completely wrong. I used to avoid them, and if I could make a meal lower carb, I usually would because I thought I was making the healthier choice. And then I started training for a half marathon, and suddenly I was asking my body to run further and further every single week, and I realized pretty quickly I cannot keep asking my body to do more without giving it the fuel to actually do it. And that's when I started learning and experimenting with carbohydrates. When we eat carbs, our body breaks them down primarily into glucose, and we use that glucose for energy or store some of it as glycogen in our muscles and in our liver for later. So when I was going out for these really long runs, my muscles were actually using stored carbohydrates to help fuel the work. But glycogen stores aren't unlimited, and so I started experimenting and I ate more carbohydrates before my super long runs. And I could feel the difference, I could see the difference in my performance, and suddenly carbs weren't this thing that I was trying to avoid. They were fuel that my body actually knew how to use. Ironically, around the same time, my body composition started changing really rapidly, and I'm not saying that eating more carbs magically made me leaner. I had also increased my protein, I was strength training consistently, running, and most importantly, learning how to fuel my body. Some of my favorite sources of carbs carbs are sweet potatoes, and sweet potatoes also give us fiber and other micronutrients. Beans and lentils are another great source of carbs, and they also have fiber, protein, and minerals. And bread, pasta, and rice is also a great source of carbohydrates. Every source of carbs is not nutritionally identical, and so a sweet potato versus a bag of chips might both contain carbohydrates, but they're giving the body very different nutrition. And so I recommend doing the carb sources that I just mentioned, such as beans, lentils, pasta, bread, rice, sweet potatoes, because these are going to be the cleanest sources of carbs. I am a big believer in blood work. Blood work is an amazing way to see what is going on inside of your body so that you can give your body truly what it needs instead of just guessing. Blood work is obviously an investment, and I think if you could only do blood work even every other year, it is such a valuable resource so that you're not just taking random supplements and just not knowing what you're deficient in, and you can truly build a personalized wellness program. I do my blood work every 6 months, and this way I can monitor all of the different things that I am experimenting with and change things accordingly or see what I might be deficient in. And this has been super helpful for me. And one of the things that I am always super deficient in is sodium, which is kind of interesting. But there are 3 minerals that most women are deficient in, and those are iron, magnesium, and selenium. There are very easy ways to incorporate these in your diet so you're getting the recommended amount. For example, if you eat 2 Brazil nuts every single day, you're getting your daily dose of selenium. If you add just 2 tablespoons of pumpkin seeds to your diet every day, then you're going to get your magnesium in. And if you're deficient in iron, then eating foods like kiwi are going to make your body receive iron a lot better. And we can get iron from things like spinach. But once you know what you're deficient in, it's very easy to tweak your diet and tweak your nutrition to help you become less deficient in those things. In my opinion, the best way to balance this is to eat a wide range of plant diversity. So eating seasonally and not getting the same things every single week at the grocery store. And this is just a good rule of thumb so that you're getting many different vitamins and many different minerals from many different things. But if you're anything like me, I'm such a creature of habit and I love to eat like the same meals over and over again. And so incorporating things like Brazil nuts and pumpkin seeds into my daily yogurt bowl is a really great way for me to obviously get my magnesium and get my selenium. And so it's just learning little hacks like that so you can know what to add into food when you are deficient in certain things. I think learning how to read a nutrition label is one of the most useful nutrition skills that you can have, because once you understand what you're looking at, the front of the package becomes a lot less convincing. Maybe the label says 0 sugar or high protein or made with whole grains or plant-based, and these words might tell you something, but they don't tell the entire nutritional story. There are a few important things to look at when you're reading nutrition labels. Personally, before I look at the serving size and even just the nutritional label in general, I am always reading the ingredient list. So many products now have added sugar added into them, and it's products that you wouldn't assume would have sugar added into them. And so that's why I always look at the ingredient list first, because I might be trying to buy yogurt and I also want to avoid yogurt with added sugar in it. Added sugar is one of the places where labels can get really confusing because sugar can appear under a lot of different names. Some of the names are cane sugar, corn syrup, high fructose corn syrup, brown rice syrup, dextrose, fructose, glucose, sucrose, honey, agave, maple syrup. Just because something has a long chemical sounding name doesn't automatically mean it's something harmful. And so when I am evaluating nutrition labels and deciding if that's something that I want to buy, I look at the overall product, I look at the first few ingredients, I look on the nutrition label and see how much added sugar does it have, how much protein, how much fiber, how much sodium, and most importantly, I ask myself, what is this food giving me? Especially in the US, the food system is very confusing, and there are a lot of buzzwords that are used to make consumers just confused about what products they're getting. And I made an entire video breaking down every single thing in the grocery store, and I will link that above if you're interested in watching it. Once I started reading nutrition labels, I started consuming a lot less ultra-processed foods, mainly because I wasn't aligned with the ingredients that were in them. But I absolutely don't think you need to walk in a grocery store and feel afraid. The goal is never to become afraid of food. The goal is to become nutritionally literate so that you can understand what you're looking at and become a more educated consumer. I think the biggest thing that nutrition has taught me is that our bodies are incredibly capable when we give them what they need. Our body is constantly working for us, producing energy, repairing tissue, building our muscles, regulating our hormones, supporting our immune system, without us ever even having to think about it. And food gives our body the raw materials to do that. I'm still experimenting, I'm still learning, I'm still getting my blood work done and paying attention to how I feel and adjusting things along the way. But by stopping looking at nutrition as a way to control my body and starting to look at nutrition as a way to support it, it's changed my body, it's changed my energy, and ultimately it's changed my life. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you learned something. If you like videos like this, I'd love for you to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I'll see you next time.